Nails, to the naked eye, seem very rudimentary in its time-consuming process to bring color and attention to one's extremities. But for the global manicurist Titilayo Bankole, it's an art form, and her craft has not only flourished into a successful entrepreneurship, but has taken her across the globe. She has enriched the lives of many celebrities, many of whom will not settle for anything less than her professional touch. My name is Rocky McCoy, and I'm here to find out your why. What's your excuse? Born and raised in Washington, D.C., Titilayo, or Titi as she likes to be called, is a first-generation American with Nigerian roots. Her full name means Titilayo, everlasting happiness, Bemidile, meet me at home, Bankole, strong foundation. But even with her knowledge of self and family history, Titi found it hard growing up with a different name.
Because my name was different, and it is different, and I was picked on so bad that I changed my name to Tiffany.
Wow.
Yeah, I changed it to Tiffany Erica Bankole. My mom and dad, they didn't really trip because I really couldn't change it legally. But anyone that would ask me, I would say Tiffany. But yeah, I got teased a lot. It was no sleep. I hated people.
But her hatred for people soon faded as she found herself engulfed in DC go-go music and its nightlife. Eventually, her mother had to put her foot down.
I used to party all the time. It's like, Mom, can I get some money? She said, I'm not giving you no money. You're going to have to work. What? Because in my mind, I'm rich. I was rich. I lived in a penthouse because I was the only girl. So, I had my mind to just go into and just do different things. And so my mom was giving me money initially, and then she got to the point where, you got to work. So I started doing hair.
But it was a chance encounter in Silver Spring, Maryland, that would change the trajectory of her life.
Well, I was in school. I was in Prince George's Community College, and I went and got my nails done. But I was doing hair while I was in college with my mom. And so when I got my nails done, I went to Silver Spring. That struck my interest. It was the detail in how she did my nails that made me think, oh, I can do this in my mother's salon, and it would be pretty easy.
But her mother didn't make it easy. No money means no money.
And I take a deep breath because at that time it was very hard. But the good thing was we were connected with a distributing company that she bought her supplies from. So I was having conversations with the woman, and she would allow me to have a tab. I would take the product, bring it to the salon, earn money, and pay for it. But I was getting 50%, and out of that 50, I had to buy my supplies. It was a process. It was a process that was I didn't know. I didn't know what it was going to do. The good thing too was I was in my mother's salon. And so it was like an automatic clientele in a sense, because the women were older. They were government workers or postal workers or police officers. They were blue collar workers. So, and they also loved my mom and they respected her. And so they were supporting me.
It takes TT about an hour or so to do both hands and feet, but her first solo job wasn't as swift.
It took me 2.5 hours to do a full set of nails. I would cut people's cuticles and skin with the nail file. Oh, they hated it. But I hated it too, but I just didn't know. I was filing the nails. It was new. It was a new file, so they're like, oh, but they would get cut. It's worse than a paper cut. But then I eventually went to school.
TT had an apprentice license because she worked at her mother's salon, but needed the school hours to get a professional license.
And I only went 1 day a week because I had a clientele. I had to work. And at the time, it was $600. So I paid, but I said, I just need you to give me the hours so I could go to the board. Crazy, right?
Fully licensed with the full clientele, TT decided to branch out on her own. Now a single mother of a 2-year-old, she quickly learned that being an entrepreneur and mom was not for the faint at heart.
It's like the sky is falling It was a challenge. I had to take him to work with me, and be quote unquote professional. I was very emotional, very highly emotional, like highly. Because you asking me this question, I'm literally got tears in my eyes to think back. So, but it's good because I'm better today. But at that time, I didn't realize that it was a lot.
And often the lines were blurred between businesswoman and single mother.
Honestly, I didn't need permission to be anybody. I allowed my frustrations to show. I allowed, not knowing that's what I was doing, I was a complete angry person because I was single-handedly taking care of a child, single-handedly working, single-handedly making sure that I wasn't put out. So every day I just put my money in an envelope. I didn't touch my money until Saturday. And what was important was to pay my booth rent, pay my car note, pay my rent. Groceries for us, but those were the only important things.
And with no social media to showcase her talents, it was TT's meticulousness that kept clients coming back.
I remember one client that I used to do every 2 weeks. She said, I need to make sure they look good once you put the clear on. And after I put the clear on, if she did not like that, I had to take it off and do it all over again. Could you imagine? So I had to make sure that every person that I did perfect.
As time went on, TT went from working in different nail shops to setting up her own space in her home. But in 2013, something happened.
I had a mild stroke 8 days apart in 2013. I couldn't do nail art the same. Or what it was, like people would bring me pictures and I'm like, I don't even know how to get to that. And if it wasn't for the loyalty of my clients, I wouldn't still be here.
The effects of her stroke nearly drove her out of business. And in 2017, she was at a crossroads.
In 2017, I had to make a decision to either leave the business altogether or pivot. So I pivoted, and what I did was I made a schedule for myself to take classes. And I had to take 10% of my money and put it away. That 10% was going to fund my education. It challenged me to expand my knowledge of what is going on, to be on top as opposed to behind. Because I taught myself how to do nails. I taught myself how to understand nails. Now I needed someone to re-educate me.
After her re-education, she was ready to start fresh. Then the pandemic hit. But rather than retreat, TT saw an opportunity to reinvent herself.
The pandemic opened up doors that I didn't even realize was there. I got more in-depth in pedicures, into skincare, and it just created another avenue for enhancing people's feet. And that's when I discovered, you can recover from damaged toenail. Oh, you can recover from athlete's feet. You can recover from absolutely anything. And so I've formulated a relationship with a few educators, like the North American School of Podology, Nail Care Academy, Best Foot Forward, as Brenda Ribble. She was the educator for the North American School of Podology. We connected on the spot. Center of Beauty, I learned oncology from her center, which helps me to deal with clients that are either going through radiation, oncology, or chemotherapy. Just being able to understand and be sensitive to clients that may have gone through that process, and to be able to properly identify those things before I touch them. Because what happens is when you come in contact with people that have had some type of life-threatening situations, things change.
From these relationships, she expanded to magazines, TV commercials, and gained access to supplies she used to have to save and pay for as a teenager. Not only that, she has an apprenticeship program where young girls can learn to better their trade. And her thoughts on competition?
The outside competition is very stressful. The inward competition is a different type of stress. I have pushed myself and challenged myself to better myself by changing arenas and creating other avenues to expand my skills so that I can be competitive within myself. And what that means is I'm a editorial manicurist. And what I did is I took a class to learn how to package myself properly. And so when I hear people talk about there's a lot of competition out here, you use the word competition, I use the word opportunity. Opportunity to be the best that I'm going to be. And if there's more, I'll continue to evolve.
So what's the end game?
My end game is to be a part of partnerships, to be partnering with brands, and to have my own action figure that sits on a girl's little carousel to say they will want to be a manicurist because it's already been done and they can see it. And it was done effectively. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's just a smidget of what my end game would be. But, you know, when you love something, you never retire from it. You might not do it in the form that you were doing it prior, but you're always doing it.
And what advice does TT have for newcomers?
I would recommend them to do whatever they choose. But the power of social media comes into play when you share, you've done this, you're doing this, and you're doing that. People started coming to me and inviting me to like different shoots and stuff. And so when you initially start doing what I did, you'll do a lot of things for free to build your portfolio. And so that's the beginning. That was the beginning for me. I had to do a lot of free tear sheets to get my portfolio built. And you still build. And you're going to still do some free work. But you want that work. You want to be able to build. You want to be able to network. You want to connect.
So what's your why?
So it will go back to my family roots. My family on my mother's side, they're royalty. Royalty in Nigeria means servanthood. My grandmother was a queen and my grandfather was a soon-to-be sitting king. My grandmother, these on my mother's side, they served people, they fed people, they cared for people. So I have that same spirit.
And of course, the final two questions I always ask each person. What advice would you give your younger self?
You did a good job. You're not inadequate. You're adequate. You're qualified. You can have a good time and also be a businesswoman.
And what advice would your younger self give to you now?
Have fun. And don't take yourself so serious.
Life can sometimes deal an awful hand, but ultimately, it's up to us on how we play it. And while some may fold and learn to live with regret, TT remained focused and threw in all her chips. From entitled partygoer, novice teen, and single mother, Titilayo Bankole is living proof life is about accepting what is and still moving forward.
I am Titilayo Bankole. The global manicurist is my excuse. What's yours?